President of the National Defense College. The committee has summoned you to testify on the role you played in the procurement of the military aircraft for the family of the late RAF Kasambara, and on the sequence of events from the time the aircraft carrying the late Vice President left Komaso International Airport until when the wreckage was located, including the role you played in that regard. You received summons to this effect. The summons were very specific. I don't have to read them out. Before you respond, Brigadier General would like you to take an oath, and I will request Secretariat to administer the oath.
I, Daniel Kuali,
do solemnly swear
by the Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give
shall be the truth,
the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you very much, Brigadier General, for your cooperation. Sure, you came well prepared. You've circulated your notes, your presentation. But the floor is yours for you to give your testimony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Members of Parliament, especially of this ad hoc committee. Honorable Chairperson, I respectfully submit my written statement pursuant to the summons that were issued to me by the Clerk of Parliament, which were dated 24th of June 2026. Chair, as you indicated, the summons requested me to provide information regarding two aspects. First is my role, if any, in the procurement of the military aircraft for the family of the late Honorable Raphael Kasambara AC, and also to outline the sequence of events from the departure of the aircraft, which carried the late former Vice President from Komaso International Airport to the discovery of the wreckage, including any role I may have played therein. Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Members of Parliament, accordingly, I set out a chronological account of events relevant to the matters under inquiry. I must state, however, at the outset that my involvement in the matter was strictly administrative and facilitative, undertaken in good faith for humanitarian and funeral support purposes. To be sure, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members, my involvement in matters relating to the military aircraft, also known as Mike Alpha Foxtrot Tango 03, on 8th and 9th of June 2024, was strictly limited to facilitation upon request for the late Honorable Raf Kasambara's family, when the deceased friends and colleagues approached me seeking assistance in conveying humanitarian requests to the authorities in the Malawi Defense Force. Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Members, at no stage did I participate in, influence, or make any operational, command, or decision-making determinations concerning the deployment or the use of the aircraft. Honorable Chairperson, Honorable members, allow me to outline the sequence of events as they relate to me. Upon learning the sad passing of the late Honorable Raphael Zolokeri Masano Kasambara, AC, and having seen the funeral program, I attended the funeral at Goodwill Funeral Home, then located near Malawi Housing Corporation in Area 4. And that was on the 8th of June, 2024, and it was a Saturday. The family was at the funeral home collecting the deceased body for transportation to his residence in Blantyre. While seated with, among others, the former Chief Justice, Honorable Justice Andrew K.C. Nyirenda, AC, and the retired Justice of Appeal, His Lordship Justice Anthony A. Kamanga, AC, I was beckoned by Honorable Samuel B. Tembenu, AC, to approach him. He was sitting in the company of who I later came to know was Mr. Rafik Gafar, together with Counsel Wapona Kita and Honorable Counsel Gilbert Konyongwa, who was then not a member of Parliament. When I joined the group, Honorable Tembenu inquired whether the Malawi Defense Force had an aircraft available for charter to transport the late Mr. Kasambara's family and the deceased casket from Blantyre to Mzuzu. Honorable Tembenu explained that it would be both physically demanding and logistically cumbersome for the family to travel by road from Lilongwe to Blantyre and thereafter from Blantyre to Mzuzu. As I was not aware whether any aircraft was available, I informed him that I would first have to verify the position with the Air Force. I immediately telephoned the then Air Force commander, Brigadier General Robert Ishmael, as his rank was at the time. He advised that he would first verify the availability of an aircraft with the relevant authorities at Zomba Air Base. After a short while, he called me back and confirmed that the aircraft, Mike Alpha Foxtrot Tango 03, was available. Given the urgency of the request, I then asked what procedure the family should follow in order to charter the aircraft. He advised that authorization would have to be obtained through the Joint Force Headquarters. Accordingly, acting on that guidance, I contacted the then Deputy Chief of Defense Force, Lieutenant General George Alexander Jaff Jr., again as his rank was at that time. I informed General Jaffu that the late Kasambara's family wanted to charter an aircraft to transport the family members and the deceased casket from Blantyre to Mzuzu, given the logistical difficulties associated with traveling by road. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, I also mentioned in passing that I had noticed his sister, Justice Fiona Male, assisting Mrs. Maggie Kasambara, the widow of the deceased, and that she would likely also be traveling on the aircraft if it became available. General Jaffu requested that I allow him some time to seek the necessary authorization from the then Chief of the Defense Force, General Dr. Paul Valentino Piri. Shortly thereafter, the then Deputy Chief of the Defense Force, General Jaffu, informed me that the Chief of Defense Force had approved the family's request to charter the aircraft. When I asked what further steps were required, he advised me to liaise directly with the Air Force commander regarding the implementation of the approval. I accordingly contacted the then Air Force commander and informed him that the Chief of Defense Force had authorized the charter. He confirmed that the Deputy Chief of Defense Force had already communicated the approval to him as well. When I sought guidance on the next steps, the then Air Force commander advised that he would liaise with Zomba Air Base and arrange for the necessary operational coordination. The Air Force commander subsequently directed me to contact the Zomba Air Base Operations Officer, Major Amin Kalinga, again, as his rank was at that time. The purpose was to obtain the quotation for the charter charges. Having confirmed the availability of the aircraft, I informed Honorable Tembenu accordingly and advised him that the quotation would shortly be provided. The Air Force commander subsequently forwarded me the quotation via WhatsApp, a copy of which has been attached to my written submission, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. I immediately, and I marked it K1, I immediately forwarded the quotation in the sum of 9,582,751 kwacha to Council Wapona Kita, who was coordinating the charter arrangements on behalf of the late Kasambara's family. Honorable Tembenu later informed me that Mr. Rafik Gafar would provide 5 million kwacha on Sunday, the 9th of June, 2024. This was supposed to be part payment towards the charter costs, with the balance to be settled as soon as practicable. Honorable Tembenu indicated that the balance would be settled by Council Kita as soon as he mobilized the funds. The Air Force commander later sent me further message explaining that the original quotation did not include accommodation expenses for the flight crew. He subsequently forwarded a pro forma invoice from Zuzu Hotel for the sum of 465,000 kwacha. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, my WhatsApp exchanges with the then Air Force commander have also been attached to my submission, and I've marked it as K2. Major Kalinga, in the meantime, also transmitted the crew accommodation pro forma invoice, and I've also attached the same, and I've marked it as K3. I accordingly forwarded it. On Sunday, the 9th of June, after attending church, I received a telephone call from Mr. Rafik Gafar, requesting that I meet him near Lingadzi Hotel to collect the 5 million kwacha which he had undertaken to contribute towards the charter costs. After receiving the money, I contacted the Air Force commander for instructions on how to handle it. He advised me to seek directions from Keno Sambalopa. I accordingly contacted the Keno, who instructed me to deliver the money to Air Force commander of those instructions, and he confirmed that the proposed arrangement was appropriate. Chair, honorable members, later in the afternoon of Sunday, the 9th of June, 2024, while I had stopped at a place called Balaza in Area 43 here in Lilongwe to meet friends and colleagues who were planning to travel to Nkadabe for the funeral of the late senior counsel, I was approached by Mr. Joshua Valera, a relative of the late Vice President, Right Honorable Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima. And Mr. Valera at that time was also serving in the office of the Vice President at the time. And he was accompanied by Counsel Mchuka George Male. Mr. Valera informed me that the commander had authorized the use of the aircraft to transport the Vice President to Mzuzu, provided that the late Mr. Kasambara's family agreed to the arrangement so as not to disrupt their travel itinerary, since they had already chartered the aircraft the previous day. Upon hearing this, I asked Mr. Valera which commander had granted the authorization. In response, he asked me how many commanders I knew. I explained that in relation to the vice president traveling on a military aircraft, there were 3 relevant commanders in question, and namely the commander-in-chief, the commander of the Malawi Defense Force, and the Air Force commander. I therefore asked whether the Air Force commander was aware of or had authorized the proposed arrangement. Mr. Valera indicated that he was not sure. I then requested his permission to verify the matter directly with the Air Force commander. He raised no objection. Honorable Chair, honorable members, I immediately telephoned the Air Force commander and asked whether he was aware of a request from the Office of the Vice President to use the military aircraft subject to the concurrence of the late Mr. Kasambara's family. The Air Force commander informed me that he had not been made aware of any such request. When he asked me to explain the proposed itinerary, I requested his permission to place the call on a speakerphone so that Mr. Valera could outline the travel arrangements directly. Mr. Valera explained that the Vice President intended to depart Lilongwe at approximately 900 hours on Monday, the 10th of June, to travel to Mzuzu by air and then to Nkatabe by road to attend the funeral. And the plan was to return to Lilongwe shortly after midday in order to see off the then president, who was scheduled to depart the country that afternoon. Having heard the proposed itinerary, I expressed practicable because I was bearing in mind the advice given by Major Kalinga when he had earlier texted me that, and I quote, Honorable Chair, "Sir, what will be crucial, 230. This will allow the aircraft to fly to BT, to drop the passengers, then fly back to Zomba," end quote. The Air Force commander concurred with my assessment and likewise advised that the proposed schedule was not operationally achievable in terms of timing, particularly given the expected departure time of the Kasambara family from Zuzu to Blantyre. At the conclusion of this discussion, Honorable Chair, I informed Mr. Valera that, in my view, it would not be possible for the Vice President to travel to Nkatabe and return to Lilongwe within the proposed time frame, particularly because the same aircraft had already been chartered by the late Mr. Kasambara's family and was scheduled to return the family to Blantyre not later than 1430 hours on the 10th of June 2024. In light of the foregoing, Honorable Chair, I made it expressly clear to both Mr. Valera and Council Mchuka George Male that I would not participate in or facilitate any arrangements relating to the Vice President's travel as intimated. I explained that my involvement had strictly been limited to assisting with coordinating the charter requested by the late Mr. Kasambara's family, and that I could not assume any role beyond that mandate. Honorable Chair, honorable members, on Monday, the 10th of June 2024, I departed for Nkatabe in the company of Mr. Serafin Kana Konje, who was a friend of the late Honorable Kasambara, and Sergeant Andrew Banda, as he then was, who was driving my official vehicle. Upon arriving in Mzuzu, I proceeded directly to Mzuzu Airport to deliver the 5 million kwacha that I had been instructed to hand over to Keno Sambalopa. Upon my arrival in Mzuzu, I did not see aircraft Mike Alpha Foxtrot Tango 03. However, I observed the Vice President's official vehicle, Mike Golf 2, together with other government vehicles parked at the airport. When I checked my mobile phone, I noticed a text message from Keno Sambalopa sent at 06:49 hours, informing me that he was departing for Kamuzu International Airport and instructing me to leave the money with the air traffic controller in Mzuzu, Mr. Moyo. A copy of the message from the late Keno Sambalopa has also been attached in my submission, and I've marked it K6. I accordingly approached the air traffic controller and inquired when the aircraft was expected to arrive. He informed me that the aircraft had not yet landed, possibly due to adverse weather conditions, as visibility at the airport was extremely poor on that day. I thereafter left the sealed parcel containing 5 million with the air traffic controller in accordance with Keno Sambalopa's instructions. I subsequently proceeded to Chijere village in Kadabe to attend the funeral of the late senior counsel. While at the funeral in Chijere village and Kadabe, at approximately 1100 hours, while waiting for the funeral proceedings to commence, I received a phone call from the then Air Force commander informing me that Mike Alpha Foxtrot Tango 03, which had transported the Vice President, had not arrived in Mzuzu, and that efforts to establish its whereabouts were underway. He informed me that the inquiries had already been made with nearby airports, including Likoma and Karonga in Malawi, Mbeya in Tanzania, Chipata and Rundazi in Zambia, and Lichinga in Mozambique. However, he specifically requested that I keep this information confidential, as search and verification efforts were still underway to determine the aircraft's whereabouts and establish the circumstances surrounding its disappearance. However, given that the commencement of the funeral program depended on the arrival of the Vice President, and considering that I had earlier spoken to Mr. Valera regarding the proposed use of the aircraft, I considered it appropriate to inform him that the aircraft had not yet arrived in Mzuzu and that efforts were underway to establish its whereabouts. Approximately 1 hour later, the then Air Force commander contacted me again and advised that the aircraft had not been located. I asked whether the aircraft had sufficient fuel for the intended flight, to which he responded affirmatively. About an hour later, I contacted the Air Force commander again to inquire whether any progress had been made in locating the aircraft. He informed me that it had still not been found and observed that based on the fuel endurance, the aircraft ought by then to have been on the ground. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, I asked the Air Force commander whether it would be appropriate to seek external assistance in locating the aircraft, given the limited search capabilities then available. The Air Force commander indicated that such assistance would indeed be appreciated. I therefore reached out to Major Benjamin Snyder, the security liaison officer at the United States Embassy here in Lilongwe, whom I knew professionally. Informally, I requested Major Snyder assistance in locating the aircraft. Major Snyder requested basic details of the flight, and I informed him that the military aircraft had departed Lilongwe from Zuzu in the morning of that day. He advised that this information was sufficient to initiate efforts to locate the aircraft. I also informed Mr. Namizinga that the aircraft, which had been chartered by the late Mr. Kasambara's family, had been utilized to transport the vice president and had not yet arrived in Mzuzu. Therefore, I advised Mr. Namizinga that the aircraft was unfortunately not available for the family's return trip to Blantyre on that day as planned, and I also requested Mr. Namizinga whether he would be able to make alternative transport arrangements to go back to Blantyre. He confirmed that he would do so, and we agreed to remain in communication regarding subsequent developments. Honorable Chair, honorable members, later that day, while at the cemetery, prior to the interment, I asked the Minister of Defense, the then Minister of Defense, Honorable Harem Kandawire, whether he had received any information concerning the aircraft carrying the Vice President. He responded that he was aware that the aircraft had not yet landed, but was still seeking further information. I informed him that according to the Air Force commander, the aircraft's whereabouts remained unknown. Following the interment ceremony of the late Honorable Mr. Kasambara, I departed for Lilongwe. En route, I passed through Mzuzu Airport and collected the sealed envelope containing 5 million kwacha, which I had earlier left with the air traffic controller there, as it had not been collected by Keno Sambalopa. After collecting the money, I duly informed the Air Force commander of the development. On Tuesday, the 11th of June 2024, at approximately 1100 hours, the Air Force commander called me to inform me that the troops from 101 Brigade in Mzuzu, assisted by the Malawi Police Service, had located the aircraft wreckage. He further informed me with deep regret that there were no survivors. Upon receiving this tragic information, I telephoned Mr. Valera to ascertain his whereabouts and advise him to prepare himself for the worst. Shortly thereafter, the government officially announced that the aircraft carrying the Vice President had crashed in Ntungwa, Kuchikangawa forest, and that all those on board had tragically lost their lives. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, on Thursday, the 13th of June, 2024, the Air Force commander instructed me to deposit 2,125,000 kwacha into the Malawi Air Force account, explaining that the funds represented allowances due to the crew and would be paid to their respective families. I complied with those instructions, and the corresponding deposit slip is attached to my submission chair, and I've marked it K7. When I asked what I should do with the remaining funds, the then Air Force commander advised that he would provide further guidance. And after I noted that the Board of Inquiry in the Malawi Defense Force, the Commission of Inquiry that was constituted by government, had concluded without addressing the outstanding balance, Chair, I transferred the remaining 2,875,000 kwacha to Mr. Namizinga, who had been responsible for administering the funds on behalf of the late Mr. Kasambara's family. Mr. Namizinga acknowledged receipt of the funds, and a copy of that acknowledgement, together with my conversation with him throughout the charter period, has been attached to my written submission, and I've marked it K8. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, in conclusion, I respectfully submit that my involvement in the entire matter was, as you may have noted, strictly administrative, facilitative, and undertaken in good faith within the established military coordination procedures for humanitarian and funeral support purposes. Honorable Chair, I wish to underscore that my involvement in matters relating to the military aircraft was strictly limited to facilitation upon request by friends and colleagues of the late Honorable Mr. Raphael Kasambara, who approached me seeking assistance in conveying a humanitarian request to the Malawi Defense Force. In each instance, Honorable Chair, honorable members, I immediately referred the matter to the appropriate military command structures and acted in accordance with the instructions and authorizations received from duly constituted military authorities. My role, Chair, did not extend beyond communication and coordination between civilian stakeholders and the relevant military authorities for the purpose of enabling decision-making within established chain of command. With respect to financial matters, I did not handle any funds in any discretionary or independent capacity. All funds were received, transmitted, and deposited strictly in accordance to the express instructions issued by authorized Air Force authorities. I ensured that such funds were directed to the designated accounts as communicated by competent military authorities without deviation or personal discretion. Furthermore, Chair, honorable members, in relation to the search of the missing aircraft, I only made contact with professional acquaintances in an effort to support emergency efforts, and only after being informed by the Air Force commander that the aircraft could not be located through established military channels. The assistance was purely supplementary, undertaken in good faith, and did not involve any operational command, control, or coordination in search activities. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, I express my deepest sorrow over the tragic loss of the Vice President, senior government officials, the former First Lady, and my colleagues, the senior military officers who died on the 10th of June, 2024. Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, I submit with utmost respect. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Brigadier General, for your elaborate presentation. Probably one of the most detailed we have received so far, and makes life easier for members to ask questions that are very direct. I will allow members to ask you further questions, whether to seek clarification or to probe further. May I open the floor to members? Noah Kasangazi.
Thank you very much, Chair. First of all, I think I should also declare that I know Professor Wali as a professional colleague. He's a lawyer by profession. I have a few questions, Prof. The first question is, when did you travel to Nzuzu to attend the funeral of Raf Kasambara SCC?
You want me to respond now?
Yes.
Okay, on the morning of 10th of June in the year of 2024, Honorable MP.
And which route did you use to get to Nzuzu from Lilongwe?
I used the Mzimba route via Kuchikangawa to Nzuzu.
Prof, I would like to find out what the weather was like in Kuchikangawa as you were traveling to Nzuzu.
Honorable Chair, you are assuming that I was awake by the time I was getting to Nzuzu? Yeah, so yes, I noticed that the weather was bad. As a matter of fact, I slept a good part of the trip, but when I was approaching Kuchikangawa, just because the driver was driving slow, I had to wake up. And when I reached Nzuzu, I was told by colleagues who were actually family members who were at the funeral that I had to bring an umbrella because the weather was really bad that day.
My last question is on the BFU report. I am of the view that you read the report, Prof.
In passing, yes, I did, Your Honorable Member.
The BFU report reached the conclusion that the accident in which the aircraft was involved was largely caused by bad weather. What was your reaction when you read the conclusion that the BFU report reached?
Chair, you asking my opinion? I mean, that was their opinion, and I took it as they gave it.
Chair, that is all from me.
Saw a hand from Betakasena.
Thank you so much, Chair, for giving opportunity to Betakasena to ask questions. I have a few questions. I'll ask it very briefly. If need be, I'll come back later. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, Honorable Member.
I want to take you to your presentation, and this morning I want to start on the page 5, bridge number 2. Mr. Valela informed you that the commander had authorized the use of aircraft. Did he? I have in mind the page, the bridge number 3, where he had asked you which commander you know and everything. Did he really say which commander? Apart from saying no, apart from you advising him to go through the Air Force commander, but did he say which commander had authorized?
Honorable Member, thank you. Like I indicated in my submission and also in my oral presentation, he did not specify which commander. In any event, he asked me how many commanders I knew, and I told him that with regard to the Vice President traveling on a military aircraft, there were 3 commanders who were relevant at that time. So after our conversation with the Air Force commander, we did not dwell back on which commander authorized the use of the aircraft.
All right. Then free chair, I wanted to go to your bridge number 8, where you are saying, in the light of foregoing, you made it explicitly clear to both Mr. Valera and Mr. Kaso and Chuka George Mali that you not participate in or facilitate arrangements setting the Vice President's travel because your involvement was restricted to Mr. Kasambala. I'm made to believe that you have been following the proceedings of this ad hoc committee, and maybe you had an opportunity to listen to the presentation which Mr. Joshua Valera made, and the same will correspond to what Chair witness Mr. Dr. Rather Lake Kanyamula's made. More especially, I'm interested on the page 4 of presentation of Dr. Squese Chair. Allow me to read to Prof so that he can hear it. Mr. Valera, that is now Dr. Squese, when he called Mr. Valera, and then Mr. Valera informed Dr. Squese that he was with two relatives, in brackets, Castle Mwale and Brigadier General Kuwali. And these duly confirmed that it was possible for the Vice President to use the aircraft. Can you confirm? Because this is what Dr. Squese made and presented to this committee, saying it was possible, and that was made by you and Castle Chukamari. But your presentation, breed number 8, so to breed number 8, where you have said it's on page 6 on your presentation. You have said you made it known to them that you're not going to participate, and even if I take it to the same page, bread number 6, you expressed the view that it was impractical. But then Dr. Squeste says you and Carson Chuka, you had given a permission that it was practicable. Which is which, Prof?
Thanks so much, Honorable Member. So, number one, I haven't really been following the developments in this inquiry for several reasons. First is the fact that I knew that someday I might be required to testify, so I didn't want to be influenced by any testimonies that were given. Secondly is, it happens during working day and we have other things to do, but I do understand important work, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, that you are carrying. With regards to your specific question, Honorable Member, obviously Dr. Sekwese's testimony with regards to what happened is hearsay. So I don't know how you take that. Number 2, Chair, Honorable Members, is that I may have been included in the aspect of relatives of the late Honorable Mr. Kasambara, but that is not correct. What is correct, Honorable Member, is that their approaching me was because I was coordinating between the colleagues and friends of the late Senior Counsel with the Malawi Defense Force. To an extent, I may be regarded as a relative just because Counsel Mchuka, George Mwale, and myself are related. We are cousins. We are cousins. So that's number 1. Number 2, our villages in Katabe, my village, between my village and the late Senior Counsel's village, we have Counsel Mchuka Mwale's village in between. So we are basically neighbors. But my involvement in the procurement of the military aircraft was not because I'm a relation or I have been a relation to Mr. Kasambara. My involvement was because, it's unfortunate Honorable Konyongo cannot testify, but it's because number 1, I was at the funeral home, and number 2, I am probably the gentleman who they knew, being a counsel myself, and also being someone who was mentored by the late Senior Counsel.
So Chair, I hear you, Prof, and I 100% following you. Can you help us to know who authorized on behalf of the family the use of the flight to
Sorry, and can I supplement to the earlier question so we can exhaust it clear?